Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today for our weekly news conference. We apologize for the 30-minute delay, but we are here now. We have several things to go over with you, and then, of course, we'll open it up for questions. But two things. One, we have a hard out at 2 because we have another meeting. Secondly, I'm telling you now, no comment if you have any questions about any scandal or whatever. Now, feel free to waste your time asking those questions 11 ways, but at 2 o'clock, we have to go. And if you want to waste your time asking questions, I'm telling you, 100% no comment. With that, I will turn it over to the mayor.
First of all, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our weekly press briefing. I will point out that we have some visitors with us as we're trying to promote and demonstrate our love for our city. We're happy to be joined by the National League of Cities, which is doing a piece in several cities to express what makes your community unique, why you love your community. So we're happy to have them here with us. Diving right in, I'd like to start our press briefing with a few well wishes. First, I'd like to wish our good friend, Miss Vicki Bell. Many of you know her if you've come to a city council meeting, one of these press briefings. She has provided security at the front desk for many, many years. She was unfortunately injured in a car accident at the end of last week. We've been getting reports from her. She is on the mend, so please keep her in mind and keep her in your prayers. I want her to know that we love her here, and we look forward to her speedy recovery. On that same wavelength, we also have a few firefighters that were unfortunately injured in a house fire that was on Revere Street. These 3 firefighters were injured yesterday, and so we want them to know that our prayers go out to them. We are grateful for the sacrifice they make on behalf of the city of Jackson each and every day. You are well aware that we've brought many of our firefighters forward, acknowledging their heroics, life-saving measures. Some people may see that as just part and parcel of their jobs, but we never want to take for granted people who, when others rush out, they rush in to ensure that our residents are safe and cared for. So with that, I'm going to step aside so that Chief Owens can speak to the status of our firefighters and ask that our residents continue to pray for them. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. Yeah, yesterday afternoon, I would say, we had 3 firefighters that were injured and had to be transported to the hospital, Baptist Hospital. We had a house fire where there was an explosion, and one of my fire chiefs was injured immediately, and then the other 2 was injured after they had gone into the structure. So I'm going to let Chief Sanders give you the details on what really happened with that, and I'll just step aside and let him do that.
Cleotha Sanders, Jackson Fire Department Deputy Fire Chief. So as Chief Owens stated, the firefighters, they responded to a house fire on yesterday, and there was an update. The street is actually Daniel Circle, but they responded to the report of a house fire. They arrived on scene a few minutes later, and they did confirm a working fire with fire and smoke showing from the residence. We are glad to say that all the occupants that were in the home prior to the firefighters' arrival, they actually exited the home safely. So we don't have any civilian injuries to report. But during the course of the fire suppression and extinguishment, there was some type of incident where we did have 3 firefighters who were injured. 2 of our firefighters were able to exit the window and exit safely, and the last, the district chief, as Chief Owens stated, he was still on the outside. So they were transported by AMR to a local hospital to receive treatment for their injuries. At this time, 2 of the firefighters were actually released on yesterday. So they are home, they're resting, and we expect them to make a full recovery. The district chief who had to be admitted, he's still in the hospital, but we're really looking for him to make a full recovery as well. He is having some type of procedures during his time there, but right now we expect him to make a full recovery. And we just ask that the community will continue to pray for our firefighters and their efforts as they continue to serve our city. We believe that it's our duty to serve our city, and when these guys respond, these guys and ladies, I'm sorry, when these firefighters respond, they are responding on people's worst day to try to bring some type of calm or resolution to whatever that incident is. And we know that the hard work of a firefighter is dangerous, is hazardous, so we encounter that and we know the risk, but our guys and ladies, every day they are training, they're working out, they're eating right to meet the call at hand. So again, we just ask that our community continue to pray for our 3 firefighters who we expect all to make a full recovery.
Thank you, Chief Owens and Chief Sanders. Again, our prayers and support go out to those firefighters. It's a reminder that the job they do is very dangerous. We're grateful that it doesn't appear that any of these injuries are life-threatening, but our prayer for their healing and return remains. So moving on along, I want to remind everyone that it's just about time for voting. First and foremost, speaking of voting, I want to take a moment to congratulate City Councilwoman-elect Ms. Tina Clay, who won the runoff election for Ward 2 City Council seat. I've known Ms. Clay and her family for some time, and so I believe she will do an outstanding job on behalf of the residents of Ward 2. We look forward to working with her, and I'll leave it to her and her team to make any announcements with respect to swearing in. I have some indication of when that will be, but I won't take that from them. In terms of voting for presidential election and all of the other national elections that take place, the last day for absentee voting is Saturday, November 2nd. Again, the last day for absentee voting is Saturday, November 2nd. All mail-in ballots must be postmarked by Election Day, which is November 5th. It has to be postmarked by Election Day, November 5th. The polls on Election Day are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. With respect to polling locations, recently in one of our press briefings, we spoke to you about Jane Avenue, which is Precinct 61. While there were some challenges with that facility, we indicated to you that we were able to get those issues resolved and that it would be open for Election Day. And while we are grateful for the work of Parks and Recreation to get those issues resolved and have that facility ready, unbeknownst to us at the time, the county leadership actually announced another location. And so they were moving those that were at Precinct 61 to the Police Training Academy. So the fortunate thing are both locations are within the same proximity of one another, so it should be little threat of confusion there. But for those people who vote in Precinct 61, your polling location for this election will be at the Police Training Academy. They've sent out notices. The county already sent out notices to those voters. And so while Jane Avenue was ready to rock and roll, we don't want any confusion for our voters. We don't want anyone being disenfranchised. So again, if you vote in Precinct 61, your Ward 5, that's Ward 5, Precinct 61, your voting location for this election will be at the Police Training Academy. Again, we thank Parks and Recreation. We thank our police department. There's some work that they have to do to get that location prepared and ready, and they have assured me that it will be ready. And so I'm grateful for those that labor to make certain that these things can happen. I spoke of Parks and Rec and their work for the Jane Avenue Community Center. I'd like to also commend our Parks and Recreation for another successful event, and that was Boo at the Zoo this past weekend. We are waiting to get some final numbers in to tell you how much revenue was generated from that. This is our first event, our first major event that we've had since our payment portal our electronic payment apparatus has been installed. So we look forward to having received additional revenue. We can say anecdotally with respect to its success that we know that there were so many vehicles that were trying to arrive at Boo at the Zoo that we had to call JPD out in order to help navigate some of the traffic. That's a problem. It's one of those welcomed problems that we haven't seen in quite some time. So I'd like to commend Dr. Mohammed for his hard work and the rest of the Parks and Recreation team, specifically those that work at the zoo. So I know that the media will be asking us for actual numbers of what type of revenue we brought in, but we do know that not only did we have the ability to receive electronic payments, but we did have quite a crowd there. Speaking of crowds, you know, this is an event that Melissa Faith Payne has just been, you know, knocking on my door about every day. She's been calling me. Y'all may be surprised. So this is Jackson State's homecoming week, and we know how excited she is, and all Brave Nation that Jackson State homecoming. In fact, we invite the Braves, you know, the Delta Devils, or anybody else who wants to come. Please come and celebrate with us. Of course, we know that Jackson State's homecoming is always a huge event. We expect thousands to be coming in over the next coming days. The theme, some of you, I'm looking at some of the reporters in this room, y'all may not be old enough to remember this. I certainly do. But the theme is the, T-H-E-E, house party, right? For those that grew up in the 90s, your childhood was in the 90s, you certainly know what house party was. I challenge Ross Adams to come and do the kid and play with me after this press conference, if he would so dare. He's done push-ups with me before with another challenge, so if anybody wants to capture that, y'all have heard me challenge him to that. But we're excited for Jackson State's homecoming. We know that there is week-long festivities that the school will be doing. Some of those that are more geared to the student body population, others for alum who may be coming into town. We know that Jackson State takes over the city. We know that we have block parties downtown and a number of other events. This is a high revenue generator for us. So we're always trying to be amenable to the crowds and supportive of everything that goes on. And that doesn't happen without a lot of hard work. Our police department and others help with the parade. Our fire department, Chief Owens, we're constantly getting calls about establishments that are filled to their capacity, and so they work with them to ensure safety, but at the same time that our establishments are able to turn a profit. It is weekends like this that for many establishments help carry them through the rest of the year. They may have just enough to break even, but they make their profits off of weekends like this, and so we're excited about that. And the parties keep going. So the other thing that we have for you is the National Folk Festival Kickoff. To be clear, this is our kickoff celebration. This is not the first year of the Folk Festival. This is just an event to make sure that we generate the excitement amongst our residents, that the Folk Festival will be coming to Jackson. We have a 3-year commitment. We know that this has been the type of festival that has been an economic driver for many cities. Richmond, Virginia comes to mind. After they were the 3-year recipient of the Folk Festival in a past year, they were able to convert that festival into a legacy event that they now enjoy, their own folk festival. We know that residents in Jackson have been screaming about Jubilee Jam for many years, and so it is our intent in order to build the structure that not only allows us to be a wonderful, in fact, the best host of the National Folk Festival to date, but also create that structure that allows for Jubilee Jam, or whatever the residents call on it to be a festival that goes on in perpetuity. So we look forward to that, but that will be November 16th. The event is free. Once again, this event is free. The Folk Festival itself will be free to anyone who wants to come. And it will be, this kickoff event will be in front of the Welcome to Jackson mural, which is at the intersection of State and Pearl Street. Seating opens up at 3 p.m., and the music will be from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Once again, just the kickoff event, but we're going to have a good time, and that is November 16th. With respect to our Planning and Development Department, as well as the work that we've been able to receive from the Harvard Kennedy School of Politics and Bloomberg, you know that we've been working on our procurement, improving that. We've talked about the great success that we've had with that work. Well, this is another piece of that work. The vendor self-service portal is now live. Once again, the vendor self-service portal is now live. It allows vendors to submit invoices electronically for timely payment. Those who do not have internet are invited to visit the Hood building here on President Street. And for those that do not, like I said, have that computer, we also have, do not have internet access, we also have a computer station set up where they can register their business with the city in order to submit invoices. So we're trying to make this as easy and accessible for businesses as we possibly can. We even, strategized earlier today in our directors meeting. I'm constantly confronted with business owners who want to do business with the city and don't know how to do that. It is our job in order to inform you, so we're looking at other methods of communication in order to get the word out of what are the steps of how you become a registered business with the city so that you can submit. People come to me and say, hey, Mayor, I want to cut grass or I want to do those things, and they may not be registered. And so it's not just a matter of preference. There are some steps that have to take place. While we are excited about the vendor self-portal being live now, we acknowledge, as I did in the our prior press briefing, that our city website is undergoing an upgrade. That upgrade is still in process or in progress, and we have come across a few issues that are slowing that progress down. Even some of the links to the vendor self-service portal may be interrupted. So we want you to know that while we launch that, we want you to know that we are aware, and our IT team is working hard to fix these issues. So we look forward to that being fully restored, not only for the purposes of our new vendor self-portal, but all of the things that our city website allows for residents and those who are seeking opportunities to enjoy. With that, that's what I have prepared for you and ready to take any questions that you may have.
Mr. Mayor, with respect to the presidential election, obviously the polls are showing this to be one of the tightest elections ever, not in modern history. Have you decided how you want to vote? And as the father of two girls, given the fact that we could see a historic outcome if Ms. Harris wins the election?
Yeah, so to be clear, I've already endorsed Kamala Harris, and maybe I didn't make a big presentation about that, but I joined along a number of mayors, specifically Democratic mayors, in that support, and I think that she's been doing an amazing job getting the message out. That fell short of a Ross Adams endorsement the way you presented that question, and I agree. Not only because I think it's in our best interest, not only because I believe that there is tangible, I don't believe, I know there's tangible proof of what this administration has done specifically to the city of Jackson, for the city of Jackson. If no one else shows up to the polls and supports Kamala Harris in her bid to be president, then Jackson residents who have witnessed the historic funding that has come down from this administration to rescue our decades-long issue with water insecurity should be voting for this administration. I will tell you firsthand, at the height of our crisis, not only did President Biden take the time out of his busy schedule to call, so did Vice President Kamala Harris. She called right behind him, shared her concern, her regards, and her commitment to support the city of Jackson. That was only followed up by Administrator Regan of the EPA making several trips to the city of Jackson. That was only followed up by my good friend Mitch Landrieu, former mayor of New Orleans, who was named infrastructure czar, having several meetings and coming himself to Jackson to support our concerns and our needs. And then later, out of an abundance of caution, understanding the volatility that was around the midterm elections, they took, specific and creative initiative to give that money in the end of the year omnibus bill. And the reason, so that Jackson residents know why they did that, is because they didn't know what they would be dealing with a divided Congress. And they wanted to make certain that nothing stopped the funding to Jackson. So I'm 100% behind Kamala Harris. And an added benefit is that my daughters get to envision themselves in that position or any other position or opportunity that they want. Just because you gave me the platform, there's a book that I recommend to everyone by a Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie, called We Should All Be Feminists. And it's not as much of a political position as it is acknowledgement we live in a patriarchal society, and there are things that we do to disenfranchise women that we don't even consider as men. There are people who are well-meaning and will say to me, you and your wife need to have another baby so you can get that boy and he can run for mayor, right? Well, I have two beautiful, brilliant young ladies that are daughters, that are my daughters, and why are we saying that I need to have a son when they are more than capable themselves? If they wanted to do that. Now, that's a whole nother story, whether they would want to do that or not, or whether I would want them to do that or not. But I thank you for that question. People need to get out and vote. This is, we always say, and to some extent, because we always say this, maybe the message or the value of it is lost. This is likely the most critical election of our time. Yes, Charlie.
With this bribery scandal and the FBI investigation, my question really is, how does the city move forward, and what do you say to residents who may have lost trust in the city and the administration with this ongoing investigation?
I would say that we're still working. I would say that it does not stop us from what we do each and every day. I would say, just as we have as our mantra over our heads in my office every day, our work is our defense, right? And so we have had a lifelong commitment towards working towards people, have never violated that, would never violate our just love, trust, and commitment to the people of Jackson. This is what we do, right? From my earliest age as a young man in this city, my parents built me to work for people, and I would never violate that work. Yes. Anything else? All right. Thank y'all very much. All right.